Hey, good weekend to you. Welcome to Leading Edge. Welcome to the new year. I'm Jerry Anderson. The new year starts with markets riding their worst performance since the Great Recession. Why? Are we headed for another one? And what should any of us be doing with our money? An investment guru joins us ahead. So does radio's Scott Sands with a look both back and ahead at the stories most affecting us. But we're going to start right now by keeping a promise. You'll remember when our scheduled in-studio interview with this state representative was relegated to a brief phone chat as the Ohio legislature was working long hours during its lame duck session. Theresa Gavarone, Republican, Ohio's 3rd District, glad to have you in studio, finally at our table.
Thank you very much, Jerry. So happy to be here.
I'm glad you could talk to us by phone for a brief time that night. And this still works because now the lame duck governor has had his chance to size up, weigh in with what you all did in the State House. Let's do it. He vetoes the heartbeat bill, which would have given Ohio one of the strictest anti-abortion measures in the country. The lawmakers fell just short of overriding Mr. Kasich. You voted in favor. You told us why on the phone. What I'm wondering is why press forward with a governor on the record with his opposition when you know you have an incoming governor who says, you guys pass it, I'll sign it?
Well, to tell you the truth, I don't know exactly what the decision-making process was in pushing that forward now. I think maybe they thought they had the votes to get that through.
To even override, and fell just short.
One vote short.
Yeah.
And that was someone who flipped their vote.
And just so you know, this is the one that says you can't abort a child once you can hear a heartbeat, which often happens within 6 weeks. 6, 7 weeks?
That's what I
early
hear.
on. Okay. And Theresa told us on the phone that, hey, Jerry, I've talked with thousands of people, knocked on doors. It comes down to what do you believe is going on in there? I believe it's a baby. Got it. So we'll expect now the heartbeat bill to return, to pass, be signed by a new governor, challenged in court, even its backers want that, but with an ever more conservative Supreme Court likely to become law. That's the strategy?
I believe it probably will come up early on in the General Assembly, and we'll probably go forward through the committee process again, listening to lots of testimony and going forward with a vote at that point. We have a new General Assembly now, too. Lots of new members who...
Republican still has a supermajority, though, both chambers, House and Senate.
That's correct.
All right. Governor Kasich tried to stop a gun bill, even though lawmakers had stripped that strict stand-your-ground wording from the bill. The bill still shifts the burden to prosecutors to prove that shooters were not simply defending themselves. Many police groups and prosecutors oppose the bill. Why do you support it?
There was some opposition. Right now, Ohio was the only state in the country where the defendant had the burden of proving self-defense. And this shifts the burden to the prosecutor, who really has the burden of proving beyond a reasonable doubt that you were guilty of the crime. So in every other state of the country, the prosecution had the burden of proof. And now Ohio is in line with every other
join
state.
them. Governor has said that he wants common sense gun reform, as he sees it, of course, including something he likes to call a red flag statute, where people can alert authorities to someone they know who is acting dangerously, who has a gun. They can ask a court to remove his firearm. If that comes up, and I'm not saying it will in the new administration, but if that comes up, would you support it?
Well, it's something that has to be considered very carefully. I mean, due process is going to be very important, making sure that this is a constitutional right, to make sure before any constitutional right is taken away from someone that due process is carried out. So it'll be interesting to see what the legislation would look like and get all the information through the interested parties and the committee process.
Okay. I want to, by the way, congratulate Ms. Gavarone. She, by the way, does represent the district in which I live, District 3, being recognized by the Ohio Association of County Behavioral Health Authorities as the 2018 Ohio Legislator of the Year, largely due to your work to attack the opioid crisis. First of all, congratulations and thanks for your work. Now, we still have work to be done. Where do you see that battle going in the year ahead?
Well, that's one of my main focuses.
I know it is.
And it's been my focus from day one. So I look forward to continuing to work with the Adams boards and on different ways to attack it. There's a piece of legislation I worked on in the last General Assembly that didn't make it across the finish line yet. It increases the level of offense for people caught trafficking drugs within the vicinity of a rehab clinic. I'll certainly be introducing that again. That had passed the House with only one no vote and passed the Senate committee, but just didn't get in time on the Senate floor.
Yeah.
So we'll be bringing that up again, looking at ways to increase access to hospital beds, mental health providers. We need to make sure if someone's in crisis that they can get in to see someone in a timely manner. We need to make sure that we're improving access to care. There's a big overlap in drug addiction and mental health.
No doubt.
Problems. So it's going to be important to listen to people on the front line. What can we do to make your jobs easier?
It's hugely important. It's just amazing how many thousands of people are dying because of this, and it is truly an epidemic, so keep up the good work on that. Now, you guys passed pay raises for yourselves, but you did so by attaching them to a bill giving more benefits to families of first responders who die in the line of duty. So, of course, any bill that's going to do that is going to pass. Do you think, is that the best way to pass pay raises?
Well, that was certainly not my preference. Certainly, I think that's something that would have been better off being vetted in the committee process, but that included a provision for pay for county, local, and state elected officials. I prefer to see things go through the committee process and be thoroughly vetted, but it did go.
You would
into
agree
this
pay
bill.
raises should be a clean bill, as opposed to attaching it. I mean, benefits for first responders who die. Of course we want benefits for first responders who die. So you can't vote no on that, even if you would oppose the pay raise.
I certainly want to make sure we're supporting the families of first responders. That is certainly a priority, and we want to make sure that goes through. It would have been my preference to see it.
Gotcha. Couple of quick ones for you. Things that I read about you guys. Video from law enforcement body cameras should, in most cases, become public record. Do you agree with that? That's a proposal that's out there.
I'm sorry.
Video from body cameras. It could be cops, could be whatever, and we see it all the time on TV now.
Right.
Should become part of the public record.
Right, and I know there's been some concern with certain things that law enforcement may see, certain crime scenes that are entered that may have compromising situations, but certainly.
Well, I think there would be some exceptions if it's part of an ongoing investigation. And this is something the Ohio News Media Association pushed for. All right, what's going on with this? 18, the new minimum age to be married in the state of Ohio. For or against?
Well, you know what? That's an interesting issue. Actually, I think it's a good idea because right now in our area, there's a lot of human trafficking. There's people who, the way the law currently stands, someone who's underage with a parent's consent can get married to someone who's much older. I think it's important that we look at
this is a proposal now. As it stands, as you see it right now, you would tend to support that.
Right. It certainly need to look at everything, but I think it's important to protect our children. And
all right. I have a newsmaker at my table. I always ask, give me a piece of news here. Give me something looking to 2019. The headline as you see it, watch for this, Jerry.
Well, there's going to be a lot going on in 2019, to tell you the truth. I mean, we've got a new governor, and I'm really excited to work with Governor-elect DeWine and John Husted. I think they're going to be a great team, and looking forward to working with them. A lot of the legislation that we've been working on.
And you'll keep us surprised, right?
Absolutely.
Keep us on that's why we call it the leading edge. You keep us on the leading edge. My thanks to State Representative Theresa Gavarone for keeping us on the leading edge of the latest from the lame ducks down there in Columbus. Worked a lot of hours, got some rest this week. Get back to it Monday, right?
Monday it is.
Thanks. When I come back, boy, the market's been worse than lame of late, falling at times like a duck. See the way I worked that lame duck in there, caught in the crosshairs of an Ohio hunter, that duck. Recession on the way, or what should we be doing to protect our money? This is Leading Edge.